Fake news? History books tell us that John Fitzgerald Kennedy was sworn in as the 35th United States President 89 days before I was born. I do not remember his assassination 2 years, 10 months, and 2 days later. In fact, most unsurprising, as I was only 2.5 years old when the man was brutally gunned down. I don't know exactly where I was at 12:30 p.m. EST on November 22nd, 1963, but it is highly likely that I was home with my mother and 2 or possibly 3 older siblings. Stephen, the first-grade eldest progeny of Betty Jean and Francis Carl, would have walked the half-mile home from Oakland Elementary, eaten lunch, and walked back to the Bloomington, Illinois public school. 18 minutes after the shooting, Walter Cronkite took to the airwaves to tell the nation of the assassination attempt. Within half an hour, Cronkite announced to the world that the president is dead. It is unlikely that Mom would have had the television on. My father was neither at home nor at work that day. He was crammed inside a bomb shelter as part of a civil defense drill. In the early 1960s, taking precautions against nuclear attack was prudent and rational. My April 1961 birth coincided with the U.S. attempt to sabotage Castro's successful revolution against Batista via Cuba's Bay of Pigs counter-revolution. The CIA-led Bay of Pigs fiasco was followed by the late October Cuban Missile Crisis of 1962, which brought the threat of nuclear war to a just over-the-horizon 100-mile distance from Florida's southwestern tip. 1962 A-bombs were not nearly so powerful as they are now, and people in remote areas who sheltered properly had a real chance of surviving. Dad was performing his duty and acting the part of an Armageddon guinea pig. Dad had joined Illinois State University as a graduate student and instructor in the fall semester of 1961, and I'm sure he was happy to volunteer for the civil defense drill. The drill was designed to measure citizens' reaction to stress in the close-quartered, overcrowded bunker. It was just bad timing and coincidence that Dad was incommunicado when Lee Harvey Oswald fired his 3 shots from the grassy knoll and spilled President Kennedy's brains directly in front of rolling motion picture cameras. Because the drill's purpose was to simulate an actual attack, the public address system inside the bunker would occasionally relay fake news events. News events like Washington, D.C. being struck by an atomic bomb, Hoover Dam being breached, and Soviet paratroopers landing in Chicago. Among the fake news was an announcement that the president had been assassinated. Dad later learned that among those conducting the drill, there had been great debate concerning whether the drill should be terminated. The president had been butchered, and the civil defense boys debated among 3 possible courses of action. The first alternative was to end the drill and let the men — there were no women in this save the world and repopulate drill — go home to comfort their wives and families. The second alternative was to carry on and not let the guinea pigs know of conditions outside their test tube civil defense bunker. The third possibility was to inform the participants via the public address intercom that the president had been assassinated and to continue with the drill. Option 3 was selected. In addition to the scripted catastrophic sit-reps, broadcast via the PA, an announcement was made that President Kennedy had been shot and killed. Everyone within the bunker assumed that this was more fake news being broadcast as part of the simulation. It was not. It was real. The drill continued for 2 more days, and on Sunday, the men were stunned to learn that one of the news items broadcast to them had been truthful, accurate, and devastating. President Kennedy had indeed been shot and killed on Friday, November 22nd, 1963. Fake news is the topic that is alive and well in the USA today. It's a shame how easily it's called, how easily it's accepted, and how easy it is to learn the truth. And, as Walter Cronkite would say, that's the way it is.